y'all. So welcome back to Tuesday Talk. So today I want to talk to you on the topic of overcoming fear and anxiety. So if you have not joined our Tuesday Talks yet, my name is Jeanice Sherai. Excuse me, y'all. I always seem to lose my voice when I start a video, but guess what? The devil is a liar. She gonna keep going. So my name is Jeanice Sherai, and I am the CEO and founder of Jeanice Sherai LLC. And our purpose is to help women discover purpose and find direction through mental wellness practices that we believe will promote a whole mind and present moments. So let's get into it. Overcoming fear and anxiety. And to start off, I just want to start with some definitions and really making it plain what is anxiety, what is fear, so that we can understand what they are and their differences. So you'll see me looking down at my notes because that's where the stuff is, okay? But anxiety is defined as intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. So let's say that again. Intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. So just anything that we can come up with, we can become anxious about, right? Normally, I always connect anxiety to past traumas, childhood experiences. When we feel like we don't have control, anxiety seems to pop up. We seem to get those racing thoughts, that racing breath. We begin to panic about something because we don't have control. And these are not things that have happened. These are things that we are projecting or thinking that can happen. And it's like I said, it's because of something that may have happened in our past. I always hear this statement that anxiety is like living in the what ifs of tomorrow instead of the blessings of today. Anxiety is like living in the what ifs of tomorrow instead of the blessings of today. So let's pause for a second. I'm going to come back to anxiety, but let's talk about fear for a second and what is fear. Fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that something or someone is dangerous, that something is painful, or that something is a threat. So fear is this unpleasant emotion that's caused because we feel that we're being threatened, we feel that we're in a dangerous situation, or that something's painful. And fear is not always this unhealthy emotion. Sometimes we are in these dangerous situations and fear can come about, and we will feel that. And we have this fight or flight mode, and our body immediately will detect what we're feeling and go into fight or flight mode because of that fear. And that's honestly a healthy emotion. It could be letting you know, like a trigger saying danger is ahead, and that's okay. But then there's fear that keeps us from doing things, fear that prevents us, fear that hasn't taken place. It's just this belief that something bad can happen, but that bad has not happened yet. And that's a different type of fear. And that's the type of fear I want to talk about through this Tuesday Talks today. Something we don't want to happen, we can fear. And it again can come from past traumas, from childhood experiences, from not having that control. We don't want to do something that could cause us to lose a job because we feel like we've lost a job before. We don't want to lose that family member because we've been through that before. And so we have this fear that's present. And fear a lot of times can be a hindrance for a lot of things that God wants to do in our life, and a lot of things, honestly, that we ourselves want to do in our life. Fear can be a huge hindrance to those things. So fear has always been prevalently talked about in this world. We often hear about fear. We often hear about being afraid. As Christians, we often hear the church talk about fear. But very rarely do we hear, or have we heard before this time that we're in right now, about anxiety. And yes, we may have heard about anxiety, but it's always been deemed as this thing that we can get over, that we can move past, that people should just, do this, and girl, just calm down and it's going to be okay. And that's not what anxiety is. Anxiety is actually a mental health condition. It is something that some people have to take prescribed medication for. And anxiety cannot be confused as the same thing as fear. It's two different things, two different emotions, and two different impacts that it can have on people's lives. So neither of these are anything that one person can simply get over, as I said. So if anyone is ever telling you, I'm feeling anxious or I'm dealing with anxiety, don't think that you can just tell them, hey girl, just calm down, it's gonna be okay. That's not what's gonna help them with anxiety. Anxiety is a daily work, honestly, and we have to be committed to that daily work in order to fight past those anxious feelings. We have to do the work for that anxiety. And honestly, when it comes to fear, fear may not pop up as regularly as anxiety, but fear may pop up when we're triggered by something that's familiar, that we've experienced before. And because of that, when it does, we have to also still do the work to get past that, because it's a belief in our mind that danger is present, that there's a threat around, that something is painful, and we have to do the work. We have to transform that belief. We have to convince our mind that that's not the truth. So both require this work from us. And some people who deal with anxiety, they may choose, like I said, they may have a prescribed medication that they take to assist with those moments. And that's usually because they're seeking a therapist or a counselor about it, and they believe that the best route for them right now is to take that prescribed medication. And that is not something that I am against. I believe that we have to nurture our bodies in the way that is needed and the way that it can be managed in those moments. Now, I am a mental wellness professional, and so I believe in a lifelong mental wellness practice that goes outside those prescription medications. But I also understand that some things have to be treated in that specific period of your life. And that is what your body needs to begin to regulate, to train your brain to not have that anxiety, to not trigger that anxiety anymore. And so it's definitely necessary, especially if it's something that you believe God is speaking for you to do, and also your therapist or your counselor has been instructing for you to do. Others may have anxiety and they may exercise to fight off this anxiety. They may take long walks. They may run on a daily basis. They may do weight training on a daily basis. They may do breath work. Okay, I'm gonna get it out, y'all. They may do breath work, or they may do yoga or meditation or something along those lines on a daily basis for that, to deal with that anxiety. I myself, I deal with anxiety, but it's not like I would say on the level of maybe others, but I still deal with it. And because of that, that's why I practice yoga, and that's why I teach yoga, to be honest with you. And also that's why I practice meditation on a daily basis, because those are things that I have to do to be aligned with what God is speaking to me versus what the enemy is saying, because he is a liar. Again, y'all, he's a liar. So those are some of the things that people may do as far as mental wellness practices on a daily basis. Notice I keep saying daily basis, because these things can pop up in our minds on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on second by second, to be honest with you. We've got to do the work if we want to overcome those things. If we want to overcome fear and anxiety, we have to put forth the effort and the work as well. Like I said, I'm a yoga instructor, and one of the main reasons that I teach my clients yoga and meditation is because I want them to overcome anxiety. I want them to push past their fear. I want to teach them and train them on how to get still enough to truly hear what God is speaking to them in that moment, instead of what their racing thoughts are wanting them to believe. I want them to be still enough to hear the truth of God instead of the lies of the enemy. And that is the main focus of most of my sessions, most of my yoga sessions, most of my meditation sessions is training my clients to be still. And when I say be still, yes, your body can be still, but I mean still in your mind, bringing your mind into alignment with what our Father, what Jesus is speaking to us, so that we can be in alignment with what he's saying over anything else. And then when we are in alignment with what Jesus is speaking, we can quiet everything else. And I'll tell you, some days I do my yoga sessions, I do my yoga practice, I do my meditation. I'm in alignment with God, and it may pop up later on and I have to go back and meditate again, because like I said, it's a commitment to a daily work. It's something we have to do daily in order to truly overcome these emotions, in order to truly fight past these emotions. No matter what is chosen to fight against anxiety, to manage fear, no matter what is chosen because there's not a one-time solution. One thing may work for you in one season, and you may have to try something different in another season. But doing the work is the most important. Not what work, not the work, not who's doing, not following what others are doing, but crafting a work that's truly going to work for you. Some of the ways that I believe are for mental wellness practices that I believe are so transforming when it comes to anxiety and fear are breath work, affirmations, yoga, exercise, meditation. Doing those things daily and being committed to them are life-changing. Meditating every morning, even if it's 5 minutes, meditating every night before bed, even if it's 5 minutes, doing that breath work and just really sitting still and breathing with God, aligning with God, doing that on a daily basis is what truly will help to transform your mind, to retrain your mind so that you can fight against anxiety and fear, so that you can overcome anxiety and fear. We have to be committed to sitting still. And yes, we do have to be committed to exercising as well, but sitting still, being still is just as important. We have to do both. And I know a lot of times people say, I struggle with meditation. How do you meditate? I struggle with meditation, and it's not something that you'll get in just one day. Some days I struggle with wanting to sit still, and on those days I sit still even longer because I know that's where I need it. I know that's when God is trying to teach me to stay in that place, because a lot of times I tell my clients that how they respond in meditation, in different positions, how they respond is normally how they respond to different situations in their life as well. When we're trying to rush past the place, that's usually what we're doing in life as well. We truly don't like to be in hard places long or uncomfortable places long, but that is how we learn to overcome that fear and that anxiety, is learning how to breathe through those places, how to move through those places as well, because exercise is just as important for your mental wellness, to fight against that anxiety and fear. Taking long walks, going for a run if that's your thing, doing weight training if that's your thing, playing basketball or baseball or kickball or whatever it may be. Just getting active is just as important as being still, but both are needed. When it comes to fear and anxiety, even though I mentioned that, the being still and the exercise, I'll tell you the key component is breath work. It's your breath. It's finding your breath. It's bringing yourself into this present moment. And I'll show you 2 different breath works that I believe that will just be very helpful when you're in that place of feeling anxiety or dealing with fear and your mind is racing. There are 2 different breath works that I always teach my clients. Excuse me, y'all. That's rude. The first one is called a cleansing breath. And so this cleansing breath is, and if you're listening and you're in a place where you can do it, it's when you inhale in, and when you exhale out, you say, ah. And y'all, it literally feels amazing. And you just keep doing that for as long as your body needs it. You just, you keep with that practice for as long as your body needs it. Another breath practice that I would encourage you to try is the counting breath. So with this breath, you're counting as you inhale, you pause and you count as you exhale. So I'll walk you through it and you try it. So usually how it goes is I'll say inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. And then normally it goes up. You go to a count of 4, you go to a count of 5, or whatever your body allows. But literally, the counting breath is the most transformational when dealing with anxiety and fear, because you have to focus on that count and away from whatever is causing that anxiety, whatever is causing that fear. So I believe that the key component of exercising, of being still, of whatever it may be, is that breath work, is learning how to healthily and truly breathe. Learning how to bring yourself into that present moment. when it comes to fear, I also believe that, and anxiety, I also believe that movement is very important. Stretching your body and paying attention to the emotions that you are feeling. Usually we harbor those emotions, those feelings in our muscles. And so when our muscles are tight, we're harboring that thing that we're feeling in our body. It's holding there. Whatever what's going on in our mind, our body begins to basically adapt to whatever that thing is. And so if you're afraid, your body may become tense in your shoulders, or wherever it may be. If you're sad, your body may be super tight in your hips, because women tend to hold their emotions in their hips. So stretching and working out and moving that body can help you move those emotions completely out of your body, so that you can release those things, and you can release endorphins that are actually increase your mood, that can decrease your anxiety, decrease that fear, and have your mood in a more balanced manner than before. And I'll tell you guys that it works tremendously. I don't work out because I love it. I work out because that's what my mental wellness needs. That's what I need to do to nurture my mental wellness, and it's so very important for me. So very important for the lifestyle that I want to live and the long life that I desire to live. I work out because that's what my body needs, not because that's what I want to do. Sometimes I'm exhausted and still having to go out and go for that, because I love long walks. I'm not saying I'm this person that's like in the weight room doing all these things. No, I'm taking long walks and I'm doing my yoga practice or something like that, but I'm doing something that will nurture my body and my mental wellness and feed it what it needs. I also tell you that identifying exactly what you're feeling and getting specific about it. Like, for example, I don't know if you've heard of the I feel statements, but like, say for example, you may say, I feel afraid when a car pulls out in front of me because it reminds me of a past accident. Really getting specific with what you're feeling, why, when you begin to feel that way, and why that feeling has come up is a great way to work through those feelings, to work through those emotions, to overcome fear and anxiety. Like, there's this feeling chart. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but there's a feeling chart that really helps you get super specific with what you're feeling. And so if you're feeling afraid, it'll offer you other words to see what exactly are you feeling. So in that same I feel, when, because statement, it could be I feel, instead of fear or afraid, it could be I feel jittery, I feel threatened, I feel abandoned, I feel powerless. Getting specific on what emotion you're truly feeling, so that you can identify what exactly is going on in your body, what exactly is triggering you. That way you will understand how to work and move past those emotions, how to overcome that anxiety and fear. Like I said, we've got to do the work, and we've got to be committed to it. And it's not an easy thing. Doing the work is not easy, because we get tired. We think we've mastered it, and then suddenly there it is again. It has to be a daily committed work to working past those things, to doing what is needed for our mental wellness, so that we can fight against them, and so that we can have an abundant life, so that we can live this bold and abundant life that God desires for us to live. So I'm a Christian. I'm also a mental health coach, and I shared with you that I'm also a yoga instructor. But I also am a certified life coach specializing in mindset. And I completely believe that, yes, we absolutely must pray. Yes, we absolutely must know God's word, and we must speak that over our life, and we must plant it deep within us so that it can sprout up and bear the fruit in our life that God intends for it to bear. But I also believe that God has given us resources to utilize in partnership with prayer and knowing his word and speaking his word. And I've shared some of those with you today. That's that therapy. That's therapy, that's counseling, that's yoga, that's breath work, that's exercising, weight training, running, long walks, whatever it may be. That's even that prescribed medication that we talked about. If that is something that you believe you're being led to do in that season, those are just a few of the things that I believe that we can use to really partner with what else God has instructed us to do, which is praying over ourselves, which is reading his word and letting that word plant on the inside of us. We have to use the resources he's given us in this world as well. We have to truly do the work as well. We can't always pray away things. You know, sometimes God is waiting for us to do the work as well. You know, I always think about the story of this guy who is waiting for God to come save him from this island, and it says like a helicopter passed him and a boat passed him, and the whole time, you know, they stop and say, can we help him? He says, no, I'm waiting on God. God is providing things for you to do, but you just have to have the mindset to recognize them and not be afraid to actually take time and start doing that work. Whether it's going to saying it's, you know, it's time for me to do therapy, it's time for me to speak to someone about this because I can't do it on my own. The things that I am doing on my own are not working, wherever it may be. Get bold enough to get control of your life, to have power over your life. Because God has given you that power. He's given you power within. And he said he can do exceedingly and abundantly more than you can ever ask or imagine through the power that works within us. It's in us. Use that power to live that abundant life, to do amazing things here, and not let the enemy stop you from doing those things. You can overcome this, and you will. If you could be committed to doing that daily work, if you be committed to doing what God has asked you to do. We don't have to stay in this place of anxiousness or fear. Like I said, you can overcome them. You can overcome them, and you will overcome them. And if you make the decision to do the work, to be committed to a lifestyle that will get you there, you will see victory in that area. It may not be easy. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week. It may even take a year. But you will see victory in that area if you do the work, because God will see the work and he will see your faith, and he will show up for you, and he will heal you in those places. And I'm telling you, because I know him to be a healer. I know what he's done for my life and my mental wellness because I became committed to the work as well. To wrap up, let's just talk about what God says about these two topics, this fear and this anxiety. One of my absolute favorite scriptures on anxiety is Philippians 4:6-9. And I'm going to just read that to you. Philippians 4:6-9 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." So Paul is teaching the Philippians not only what to do when they're dealing with anxiety. He's teaching them, when you're dealing with anxiety, pray. Submit to God what you need with prayer and thanksgiving, and God will give you peace that surpasses all understanding in that place. But he doesn't just stop there. He tells them, now think about things that are true, that are noble, that are pure, that are praiseworthy. Think about those things. He's saying, watch what I do, because if you do these things, if you put these things into practice, that's that daily commitment. If you put these things into practice, you'll have the peace of God, and it will surround you. So the next one I want to talk about is fear in the Bible. There are so many times that the Bible says, do not be afraid, fear not. He is constantly speaking this word. I think I may have read somewhere that is mentioned over 70 times in the Bible. Do not fear. Do not be afraid. Fear not. Because God does not want us living a life of fear. He does not want us being afraid. He is our Father, and he is a good Father, and he is protecting us. One of my favorite scriptures from the Bible on fear is Deuteronomy 31:8. And it reads, "He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." God will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, and don't get discouraged. The enemy would like nothing more than for us to be stuck in a place of fear and anxiety. But we can overcome these things. We have the victory. Do not let fear keep you from accomplishing your goals and dreams. Do not let anxiety keep you from going out there and being everything that God intends for you to be in this world. You are the light, and we need your light. You can overcome whatever the enemy is trying to do to stop you. You have that power within you. Have a blessed day, and thank you guys so much for joining my Tuesday Talks.